you make that hat?
That's the way the hat maker want to keep it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. Don't try it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, that's cool. Do you do that often? Or?
Yeah, it's kind of been my gig since we're not touring so much.
Creating clothes?
Just hats. Essentially this type of hat, pretty specifically.
What would you call that hat?
It's got a few names. I call it like an 8-panel hat is 8-panel, or a newsboy, or if it's really big, it's like a Big Apple, or a New York, or a cabbie, or a hippie hat.
Nice. How long have you been making them?
It'll be 2 years in March. I started in March when the panty hit. Just started.
Awesome.
Yeah. And you were Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan Swafford.
Jordan Isaac Swafford. Right?
No, it's Jordan Taylor Doyle Swafford.
Oh, you got the double.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Cool.
Quadruple names.
Right. It's confusing as hell when I go to a bar and my name is so long it doesn't even have my last name on it. So they're like, "What is your last name?" I'm like, "It's S." They're like, "What?" I'm like, "It's Doyle." They're like, "Oh, I know what you're talking about."
Yeah.
They're like, "You're the guy with like 3 names." I'm like, "Yeah."
Yep.
Yeah, it's me. It is.
Alright, cool. Well, welcome to my house, guys. I'm glad you all got to come over.
Thank you.
Thanks.
This is very nice. Thanks for inviting us.
Short notice, I think. Y'all hit you up like last week. It was awesome.
Yeah, we're around for right now. Caught us at a good time.
Okay, great. Cool. Well, hey everyone, welcome to the Nashville Artist Podcast. I'm Jordan, and today Zack Murphy and Mathew Paige of the band DeeOhGee are here.
Yeah.
Yes, we are here.
Cool. So where are you from, Mathew?
Right around Portland, Oregon. I moved here in 2009. So around, Portland, Vancouver, Washington.
Did you were there before you came here?
Yep. Grew born in Alaska, raised in Oregon, and went to high school and hung around Vancouver, Washington for a couple of years, and had a band. I was trying to do it, and I was the only one that was really serious, I guess. So
I understand.
And then I heard about Nashville, and then I went and visited, and then I liked it, so I moved there.
Okay, cool. When were you into in your little kid?
BMX was our sport. You know that movie Rad?
Maybe.
You should definitely watch it. Whoever's listening should definitely watch the movie Rad whenever you have some spare time. But that movie, I guess, single-handedly kind of altered our entire family course as far as like activities go. Because my brother saw it, and then it's about BMX racing, on a dirt track.
Right. Oh yeah.
That. So we all got into that. And
Do you still do it?
No, not really. But I was really good at it, and we all were, and we did that for long. And then skateboarding and just like whatever. But yeah, BMX, bikes, that was our thing.
How old were you, like middle school, when you were doing that a lot?
No, that was like from like I'd BMX from like 4 or 5 to like 11.
Okay, cool.
I was the youngest while my brother and sister were also racing too, but that was the activity.
Nice.
Yeah, we went to my big memory of BMX racing was, or like the highlight was, we went to Grand Nationals in Oklahoma City, and it was weeks after the bombing had happened. And we drove around Oklahoma City. I couldn't comprehend really what was going on and like how awful that really was, but it was just shrines and people's clothing everywhere, and just like bomb remnants throughout the town, and
Damn.
we're there to race each other on bicycles. It's a trip. Yeah, but that was a great sport. And watch the movie Rad. It's fantastic.
Watch the movie Rad.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So when did you get into music?
Yeah, then like 12, 13, like middle school, getting in there, and I was like, I just get hurt a lot skateboarding and trying to do tricks on stuff, and music was one of my thing, I think. So I just focused on that.
What instrument?
Guitar.
Guitar?
Yeah, guitar and violin. I started at the same time, really similar times. But my dad told me I had to pick an instrument, so I picked guitar because there was one in the house, and he didn't want me playing drums or trumpet. So I could have been a drummer, but Pop said no. Trumpet was really it though. That seems like I didn't want to learn music. It seemed so hard. I was like, trumpet only has 3 buttons. How hard could that be?
That's true.
So, but then I got really into it and got into it. So.
What inspired you to play music?
Other
than your dad being like, you gotta play guitar.
Here, you're learning music. That was it. Kind of to start with, but then I liked rock and roll, and my brother and sister liked, Nirvana and Pearl Jam, and we were right next to Seattle in the '90s, so all of this was just around.
Right.
And that kind of music, so guitar driven, punk rock, grunge, but then my dad liked blues and country music, and my mom loved show tunes, so
wow,
you put that together, and musicals and stuff. So what was it? Johnny Cash, Jerry Lee Lewis, Driving in the Truck, and then the Butthole Surfers with my brother and sister, and then West Side Story with my mom.
Wow,
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, got the cinematic soundtrack and the rock and roll and the backcountry blues.
Yeah.
Diesel.
Yeah, in Oregon.
In Oregon.
The suburbs of not suburbs, off in the corner. It wasn't nothing urban about where we lived. It was just nothing town. It was just nothing town. I don't know how to describe it.
Was it flat or what was the terrain?
Very hilly, very green. Oregon is beautiful.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very green. Rains a lot. Just you're in a vegetable mister at Kroger all the time.
Really?
For most of the year. Yeah.
And I've heard you'll be walking down the street, just see someone who just looks so damn sad.
Yeah, there's plenty of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It is.
I need to go there just to experience.
It's great to visit now, because it's I didn't know that there was another place that actually made me happy. Nashville made me so happy because
I can only imagine.
Music and my kind of music and people liking this and people liking me for the music and things that we do together. This is great. I have no idea this existed. Whereas that depression was real. And it gets to you, and it's not encouraging you to do anything.
Right.
I wanted to do stuff.
Right.
So, Nashville's full of people doing stuff.
Right.
That's a good energy.
It's always buzzing.
But it's also laid back too. It's southern laid back. My first friends that I met here were real laid back southerners, and I'm why are you guys so slow at doing everything? Everything takes so long to do. Or out there, they're just faster, better, quicker, get on with it.
What do people do that's really slow here?
Just hang out, to go anywhere, to leave the house or something that. This is just first particular group,
right?
And they're you gotta just hang out. And, it's so hot. How do you chill? You just don't move. You just don't move.
That's what they told you. They're
you get drunk, you get lazy, and that's how you southern. And they that was their quote, not mine.
That's why rocking chairs are so big here.
Yeah. I fell right in. I liked it a whole bunch. It was a good speed.
And everyone's pretty friendly here, for the most part.
Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed that too.
The openness here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We don't really get that in some places, especially in smaller towns. I feel like people are I don't know you. I don't know, or
sure.
I don't know.
Well, the culture is different in Oregon, just in general. The South definitely has that. You at least generally acknowledge each other on the street, where Oregon is just
right, just a number.
Unless you literally run into each other. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you go.
No, please. Don't.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oregon has the anti-accent. I don't know what it is, but now I can kind of hear it, but it's just it's not an accent. It's the lack of an accent. It's so bland.
Ah, that's interesting.
It
Lack
is.
of an accent.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, please come visit sometime. We have fantastic produce.
Awesome.
They do grow amazing food and other things out there. It's just a fertile land.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It's really nice.
That's awesome. So you started playing music in middle school, and then did you get more serious in high school?
Yeah, I went to an art school, like an art magnet school, and so they really kind of foster the whatever you're into. And so I was also playing violin, so that was classical and orchestra. And my dad was pushing me to do like symphony and orchestra stuff, so I was doing that plus playing guitar and like classical guitar and rock and roll. I was really into NoFX and Rancid and Green Day. I really liked their pop, like pop mixed with punk thing that they did, but it wasn't like I don't know, bubblegum too much about it.
Right.
It seemed like real people still making music. Anyway, I enjoyed their music. I still do. So as high school went on, I was like, you train. Everyone's like, you're around people that are like going to go to college for this, and like some people went to Juilliard from my school and like for playing viola and stuff. And so at the same time, I'm doing this really like competition thing of like orchestras, like competition, like you're only as good as how well you can play this piece of music and this punk rock thing, or just any kind of music I was into. It was like, oh, you get to do whatever you want over here and nothing's wrong. Like I'm really wrong and not that good over here, or I'm like totally free and encouraged to do everything, and they still clap. So I'm like, what? Wait, hold on. They love you and you do what you want and you're loved here, or you cry and worry yourself and practice for hours on one piece of music to walk into a room and play it for people and tell them that you're not that good. So after high school,
You really should have put rosin on that boat, son. You know what your problem is.
Yeah. So for a person like me, I was like, I really cherish what I learned in classical music. I love classical music. It really makes me feel great things, and I think it's beautiful and brilliant and over my head in a million ways. But rock and roll is just so liberating and free, and like, oh, I want to do that. So, or just play music. I call it rock and roll, but just like,
Right.
make up music and go play it for people.
Right.
Let's go do that.
Just the normal, how music should be.
But there's no structure for that, so it's hard for your parents to go like, oh, go do that, when you're just like, I'm jumping into the abyss of like, there is no way to do this. It's like you show up and you start doing things. There still is no way.
It's how far you want to take it.
Right, like how long until you like, how long can you take it?
How long can you take it? Yeah.
How far? Yeah. But yeah, my mom is supportive now, and my dad was too before he passed. He saw that I enjoyed it and wanted to go for it, so
Yeah.
it all worked out.
Sorry about your loss.
Yeah, it's all good. He was very into cool music, so I was lucky to have a good start off on him, like making fun of me for liking Green Day. Like, I really respect him for now, like making fun of me and then being like giving me Leadbelly and Blind Willie McTell and Robert Johnson and Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf CDs for my birthday. I'm like, here you go. This is what you need. I'm like, wow, you're right.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that was cool.
Nice. So you've been here since 2009? It's like
Or kind of 2010, like right at the end of 2009. Yeah.
12 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And you basically moved here to play music, correct?
Yeah. I'm doing it. I'm doing what I came here to do. Still doing it.
Awesome. Yeah. That's why you are here.
Not making hats. It's like you're rolling with the punches, I suppose. Everything's weird now, but yeah, it's been really fun.
What is like one of the biggest things you've learned living here?
Patience and hard work.
Yeah.
I was really in a hurry. You're in such a hurry when you get here. I was to like get it done.
Right.
Get somewhere.
You gotta meet someone.
Do something. Yeah, like you're hungry to like have acknowledgement or anything. Like I'm here. Do you care? Does anybody care? No. Yes. I don't know. I guess you're in such a hurry to have success? What are you, or whatever that is to you, I suppose, like, because a lot of people here are on a gamble on some money or resources or a favor that they don't really have means of paying back, and success either means going home with the tail between the legs, asking for money, failing, or you stay and adapt and grow and I don't know, define your own version of success. Because not everybody wants to be like Tim McGraw, but maybe they wanted to when they moved here.
Right.
And then they're like, actually, that kind of sounds soul-sucking and awful. I'm just gonna write music and fulfill myself with the thing that I like.
Nice.
I don't know. Nashville's full of it.
Right.
It's full of every kind, which is cool. I like that. It's full of the glossy pop, and it's full of the t-shirt and jeans, like, brilliant musicians that are just, like, around.
Right. Yeah, it's like one out of one every 4 people is, like, artsy, creative, probably can play an instrument.
Yeah. And it's growing, and that's cool, but it's still small enough,
Mm-hmm.
but big enough, there's whole worlds of music. Like, I hear new bands all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And it's like, they've been here the whole time.
Yeah.
Just like little pockets of
Yeah.
subsidiaries and...
Right. Which is cool that, you kind of pick up your own scene and your support group, your friends, and you all kind of nurture each other in that, but, sometimes you almost cut yourself off by, I don't know, having your plate full, I suppose. But it's just, people are coming and going all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yeah. It's a lot of culture here.
That too. And I feel like the more people that come here from other places, the more layers of, like, a new way of existing here can be. Because the South has not always been super awesome as far as being cool to everybody.
Right, that's true.
So I feel like the more people that come and, like, contribute
Definitely.
worldly views and shit,
Definitely.
it's gonna make for a better tomorrow.
It'll make for better food, too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Cheers to that.
Yeah, I mean, I love South Nashville. I call it ethnic food mecca because it's just like
Yeah.
anything you want. I mean,
It really does.
Afghani food to Ethiopian food to obviously Mexican, but then different parts of Central America and South America food. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's true. I need to explore more of Nolensville.
Yeah.
I drive down between there and the zoo. Yeah, there's every
Right.
nation represented for.
They even have, what is it, La Plaza Mariachi.
Oh yeah.
That place rules.
That's like a whole ecosystem in itself.
It really
you know?
is.
It's like a shopping mall with like Circus Soleil dancers.
Yeah, and mariachi and
Yeah,
and like
it's a whole world.
it is.
Mhm.
And Taj Indian food is right next door, which I'm
I love Taj.
big fan.
Yeah.
Nashville Used Music is down there.
Oh, yeah.
Evansville, love that spot. There's a Music City Thrift still
Oh, yeah.
next to Aldi, which I also shop at.
Oh, yeah.
And you got Phonolux,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and then you got Todd Sharp Amplifier Service right off Nolensville behind Phonolux to get my broken amplifiers fixed when I
Wow.
blow them up.
Awesome.
Yeah, so Nolensville's treasure trove.
And then recently you started making hats.
Yeah, almost 2 years ago now, I started making hats because I like these kind of hats, and they're usually really expensive, and you can make them real funky, like 70s funky, funkadelic, funky style.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't really see those, or they're old, or they're either they're old or they're expensive, like they're falling apart, or they're way too much money. And I'm like, this is stupid. It's 8 pieces of fabric and a bill. How hard could this be? So my mom has always sewed in our family. She was a seamstress, I suppose, and she taught me to sew when I was like 16 or something. And so I knew how to use a sewing machine. So I just put it to work. I cut apart my favorite hat, stole its pattern, started making these hats, and I just announced on Instagram I'm selling hats, and then immediately had a wait list, and I'm still working on it, and people really want these hats, which is cool. It's like daunting almost a little bit.
Yeah.
But I feel super blessed that like, okay, I found something I can work on and serve people with funky hats. Like, that's a great business to be in. Music and funky hats, it's like, come on.
Yeah.
There's like,
hats are
there's
no part of music.
There's no need for bummer days, you know.
Right.
Dealing in fun things.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. So like, you just sell online mostly, or do you take them to a store? Or?
No, just Instagram. I just have an Instagram, Matt Hatter, because I'm Mathew, and Matt Hat. I don't know. It seemed like a good idea. So I just make custom hats. I have everyone just like tells me what they want, like, you know, fabric or colors, and then I make them and send it to them.
Wow.
And then they pay me, and that's it. I just wanted to time it. Really, it's
Nice.
real simple.
How long does it take you to make one hat?
If I'm really taking my time and like giving it lots of love, probably 2.5 hours,
Oh, okay, cool.
something like that.
Nice.
Yeah,
You can.
if I'm really loving it. But I mean, if it's just like, if I were to make you one of these, like an hour.
Nice. So you got like a little factory going now.
I do. I have a hat shop in my house. I sleep in one room, and then the other room I rent is a hat shop. It's fabric and sewing machines and a workbench.
Nice.
I work on my guitars, and I work on other stuff too. I used to do leather work and other things like that. So it's just like a shop. I'm just making things and hoping that the universe keeps delivering me things to work on for money.
Definitely. That's
So,
awesome.
going with that.
Great. So, if someone was to move here to pursue music or art, what advice would you give them?
Read my book.
Do you have a book?
I do.
Oh, really? You do?
Yeah. It's called BandLife.
Oh,
Tips on how to survive life in a band and other lives too.
I had no idea.
Well, alright, so the question was, what
So-
coming here to pursue music?
Yeah, or art.
Hey, I'm here
Art.
to do art.
Everything.
What should I do? Participate and contribute. Yeah, go to shows, be present, meet people, don't be too wasted. I met way too many people being super wasted, like my first rounds, and so I feel like my whole first round of meeting people, luckily everyone else was pretty drunk too, if I recall, so I don't think it was entirely a one-way street, but I was like, just, yeah, try to keep your wits about you. 1, not to get robbed. 2, not to make an ass of yourself. But yeah, go to shows, participate, talk, and contribute by also playing music, and whatever you're here to do it. You can talk about it, but yeah, just do it.
Just do it, right?
Do that.
When did you write this book?
2 years ago.
Nice.
2 years ago.
And you just were like, since I've been in a band, I need to write this.
Yeah, I was on the phone with somebody and it just clicked. I was like, I was reading 2 books at the time, and they sort of inspired me to make a Kitchen Confidential. It was an Anthony Bourdain's book. I wasn't reading that, but that's the kind of book I was going for. Just sort of like an open dialogue of like, here's some shit that's happened, and here's what I learned from it, and maybe you might want to consider thinking about this shit.
Yeah.
Just think about it. I don't know. I was really trying not to like tell people what to do. Just be like, think about it. Be aware of these things that I've learned in the past 10 years being in a band, going places, attempting to play music for strangers in exchange for money.
It's a great book.
Thank you. It's not very big.
It's,
Oh, really?
It's an easy read.
Where do you buy it at?
I still sell them on eBay. Technically, I gotta bring more to the base or Grimey's. I'll sell
cool.
them there. So I was just
I'll find
I
one.
think you still have some in the van too.
yeah, I have some littered around. But the idea was to just like leave them in green rooms, like when we were still touring. It's just like I would write on the first page like, "You found me, enjoy," and you know, like leave it in the band van or leave it in, you know, pass it on, and it'd be fun. I don't know.
Nice. I'd like to read it.
I
guess I can buy one from you or.
Yeah, I have some in my truck.
Oh, okay.
I'll give you one before I go.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah, that was it. That was fun writing a book.
How long did it take you?
It was 3 days. I mean, it was like a few weeks of gathering notes and then organizing notes, and then 3 days of writing the meat. Like 3 days, and then most of a year of like editing it, revising, getting it organized and printed. So probably a year.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah.
And it's like, what, 200 pages? Or?
It's like, no, it's like 93.
It's like a manual.
And exactly, yeah. It's not. I mean, it reads more like a memoir kind of thing. It tells stories and some bullet notes. You know, it reads how I talk, kind of.
So when you got here, how long was it until y'all met?
2 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was in a hurry. It was a hurry. Get going. Yeah.
Where'd y'all meet at?
Had stuff to do. Craigslist.
Oh.
Back when that was like a predominant form of like
finding people.
Finding
shit.
Anything.
Yeah.
Like that's how you find like all your music gear. Like
Right.
there was no Facebook Marketplace.
That's how I kind of clicked on your ad, just because it said something about a new drummer in Old Shell, and I was looking for drums. I was like, it's like
Old Shell.
like old drums, and what is this about? And then it's like, yeah, you want to start a band like Rolling Stones, Graham Parsons, like you just named a bunch of stuff that I liked.
Nice.
I was like, if you want to do something awesome, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, let's do something awesome.
That's awesome. You met on Craigslist.
Well, I was 19, and so that was part of that too. I couldn't hang out at bars. I was trying to. I lived right down the street from Foo Bar, which is Cobra now.
I remember that.
And so I would go there. I found out I could get in there, but I couldn't go to bars. I was like, I'm 19. I just turned 19. Or maybe, yeah, 19 or 20. I think I was 19, yeah. So I was like, I have another 2 years to sit around. Like, how am I got shit to do. Like, how am I gonna meet people? Like,
Right.
the Nashville Craigslist must be beaming with potential. You know, like how like Nashville music scene. You know, like how to. Of course, I'm gonna meet somebody awesome on Nashville Craigslist musicians wanted ad section.
That's awesome. It's like the ad section in old magazines. Like back then, you hear all these old bands. Yeah, I put an ad out. And
Yeah.
That's how we got our guitar player.
Right? I used to actually get. I still have the wah pedal I got from the classifieds in the back of the newspaper. Like that's the wah pedal I use from the classifieds.
Wow.
The paper classifieds.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that was just dumb luck. Yeah. As soon as we started jamming again, I was like, oh yeah, this is good.
Is there anything?
This will work.
All right, cool. Is there anything you'd like to add that I haven't asked you?
What are you trying to communicate to your listeners? Are you trying to encourage them, or are you trying to let them in on what Nashville's about, or
Basically, what each person that's here is about,
yeah,
and then what people can learn from listening to you and me talk.
yeah. Oh man, yeah. I would encourage, but at the same time, it's like just do whatever makes you happy. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yes.
Just nerd out on it. Throw everything you got into it.
Cool.
And if that happens to be in Nashville, then there you go.
Yeah. I mean, this podcast is basically to know what artists, musicians are like here in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just like a collective of people I've interviewed and their experiences here
How long have you been doing this podcast?
since February of last year.
Nice.
Well, that's when I got the idea. I didn't start releasing them until May.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess technically May.
Nice. Are you enjoying it?
Yeah. I learn a lot.
Yeah.
I like to listen, so I love watching interviews on the internet, so
Mm-hmm.
I love psychology and philosophy, so I like to understand how people think, and then I can understand them better, and I don't know, it entertains me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you learn, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, but I'm like, my whole thing is, it's been tough to like figure out questions to get it out of people, because some people, you ask them a question, then they answer, and you're like, damn, that was so fast.
Care to elaborate?
Yeah, exactly. So I try not to ask yes and no questions, you know what I mean?
Sure. No, those are good prompts for sure.
Just because you're like, yeah, some people will be kind of bashful. I'm like, no, please keep talking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Alright, so here's the last question for you. What is something absurd that you love or do?
Something absurd that I love or do.
It could be a thing, or it could be an action, or whatever.
Yeah, that I love or do. Absurd. I don't know about absurd. I don't know. Absurd.
I could give you an example for me.
Yeah, what do you got?
I love vacuuming.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's I hear you. I hear what you're talking about.
That's probably why I clean cars, but
Yes. I love sewing and like focusing on one really minute little thing and just like working on this. I love operating sewing machines.
yeah.
I like snipping. I like snipping little.
The snipping the fabric.
Yeah, I like being a little grandma. I like being a grandmother.
Little cobbler.
Yeah.
Little hat cobbler.
That's right. That's right. I don't know if that's absurd in this world, but
Just seeing the needle pierce the.
it's impressively satisfying. I did film a few things of me like sewing and put it on my Instagram, and people were like, that was really, do more of that. Like film
ASMR.
more.
Yeah, exactly,
That,
yeah. The needle piercing the thread.
Well, I have a really industrial leather sewing machine, so it's so the strength and the
piston.
Right, yeah, it's like, it's so intentional. Yeah.
It has so much strength to it or whatever.
Yeah, it really
Yeah, I
is.
guess to pierce leather, that has to
To be
really
so close
serious.
to it, just like with your hands, your music making hands, to be like right next to this thing that'll just stab right through your fucking hand. It's fun.
Living on the edge.
Exhilarating, yeah.
It's like you're cheating
just be
death
careful.
with your hands.
Right.
Like,
Well, it's better than my carpentry job. I was working for this guy making like barnwood furniture, and I was just like, all these different saws and like nail guns. And like, I can do it, and luckily nothing happened, and like hopefully, whatever. But there was just too many close calls. Like, this is not worth whatever like $11.95 you're paying me. Like, this is not.
Sir, I could fall, I could smash my hand, I could shoot myself.
I've been taking 30 seconds of a cold shower at the end of my showers lately, and that's
Nice.
been really great. I would encourage anybody to do that.
Revitalizing.
It's incredible. It's Wim Hof. I think.
Yeah, Wim Hof.
The Iceman.
Yeah.
Man,
the
he's.
Iceman.
I watched a recent interview of his, and it was just so great and re-inspiring. And I've really I love it now. It's been over a year.
Wow.
But I've been doing it.
Have you gone as far as taking an ice bath?
No,
Oh.
no, I'm not that interested in doing that.
Yeah.
But it's
They suck.
It's the
Not fun.
it's the hot, like all the way hot to cold, all the way cold, top to bottom, pits, butt, no hiding, bottom of the feet. Everybody gets it, top to bottom, all the way. At least 30 seconds. That's when it starts to hurt, actually. So like 30 is about it. But then that's the coldest you're gonna be all day. So when you go into your house, like from outside your shower, you're not just like cold. You're like, oh, this is like just kind of nice. And I'm normally cold all the time, so yeah, it sparks in your internal heat. It closes all your pores so you don't get dirty, and a whole bunch of other, circulation and blah blah blah, other crazy. But it like kind of makes you high too. It's just like,
yeah, the way it takes your breath away.
Yeah, it takes your breath away.
Yes, that gets better. It doesn't. It like the first week was I can't keep the sound in me.
Right.
And just like panic and freak out. But now it's just like embrace, breathe.
It's amazing how you can really control how much you shiver.
Yeah.
If you just relax.
Right. And now I look forward to it and I really enjoy it. Actually, it's still like I do, but I don't. Like I enjoy the benefits, but it's still a shock. So, to the listeners, move to Nashville and take cold showers.
Exactly. If you're gonna be uncomfortable, at least do it to yourself.
Yeah. But the benefits, I feel like super alive, and it's just like, I don't know, it's cool. It's better than being like trying to save the heat from it and then like slowly losing it through the day.
Right.
I don't know. It
makes sense.
I want to be warm all the time,
it's a mental
and I'm normally cold, so I don't know why this has been good, but it is.
That's awesome. I'm the opposite. I'm normally burning up all the time. So like when it's winter time, I'm like, great.
Yes.
When it's summertime, I'm just like.
Where are you from?
Look, I'm out in Georgia.
Okay, so you've been hot your entire life.
Yeah, swampy south. That's where I'm built for the winter. But grew up on a mountain, so it was 10 degrees cooler than in the valley. So it was a little nicer.
A little better. Still swampy.
Yeah. Oh god. Sweat fest. All right, dude. Now I'll go to you.
All right.
Where are you from, Zack?
I was raised here. Yeah. My parents' families are both from Nashville. But after they got married, they moved to San Francisco and for my dad's work. And then I was born out there. And they moved back just because family was here. It was less expensive, easier to raise a family here than San Francisco. And pretty much all my family is from here or has lived here. Yeah.
How long were you in San Francisco for?
Only I don't really know, but I think just like the first 2, maybe 3 years. I think the first 2 years of my life.
Oh, okay. So
yeah,
negligible.
Yeah, I don't really remember it. I've been back a bunch, both on tour and like when we were growing up. I think my parents really did want to live there, especially my dad. My dad loves it. I do too, but it's funny. Like I'm working with a couple musicians that have moved here from San Francisco. And hearing their perspective on it is you can sympathize with why you wouldn't be there. But I really do love it as a city. It's amazing. It really feels, to me, it's like you still have the remnants. It's like that gold rush spirit in a lot of the people and just the vibe.
Right. I
kind of feel when I go there of like, this is kind of close to the furthest west you can get almost, other than like Seattle, and so you really kind of have the Wild West still, but it's getting, according to my buddies, it is massively more techy and kind of, not to talk trash about it, but just yuppie and gentrified a bit more.
Less artsy and...
Yeah, I was talking to a friend yesterday or this week who had moved here recently. I'm working with this guy. He's trying to get in, like, what should I be doing? Like, kind of like what you asked Mathew, like, what should a musician do? I was like, man, you just got to, like, go to shows. And told him, like, a couple, like, places, like, go to the 5 Spot, hang out there, go, meet people. And I was like, what's the scene like in San Francisco? He's like, it was cool, but that's one person's take. I still.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
I was just saying, when you say work with him, what do you mean work with him?
Oh, right now I've been working construction and carpentry. Yeah,
Gotcha.
like since COVID hit, I kind of went into that as a way to pay the bills and learn some interesting stuff. So yeah, it's right now I'm on a crew and we're all like music people, which is pretty funny and it's great. Like, you can kind of the guy who started the company is a musician and he understands that, like, if we need to go on tour, he's like, oh cool, like, where are you going? Like, oh man, hope you're making a lot of money, like, go kill it. And sometimes he'll go out and do his music stuff, and it's pretty low key, but it's fun. But yeah, growing up here was way different than it is now.
Where did you live in Nashville?
My parents bought a house. I started in Goodlettsville, and then they bought a house just north of Brentwood, like in the early 90s, right when Brentwood was like, people were starting to move there. They got really lucky, like they found a lady that was like, she was a widow and her husband had built the house himself.
Wow.
And my dad was in business for himself, and it was like, I think they were very smart about, moving there, but also this, like, being kind of a creative person. Looking back, like, I had a buddy that lived closer to the city, and that was way more fun to hang out with him. But, we got into more trouble, of course. Yeah, it was weirdly isolated, but not like when I lived in Goodlettsville, I remember riding my bicycle to like go see friends and like play out in the yard.
Right.
Where like my mom's house, it's like we had a next door neighbor, but like he wasn't always into the same things we were. My brother and I, when I say we, sometimes it was like Pogs. We all got together and played Pogs.
Pogs, dude.
You remember Pogs?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That was one thing we were into. But other than that, like, especially once my brother and I started playing music, it's kind of like, spent a lot of time, like, at my house playing music when I wasn't playing music in, some other form, or playing sports. And, but yeah, kind of, I remember, like, Nashville, even up until I left, it had this vibe of, like, if you want to play music here, you have to play country music, and you can. Like, that's a very viable thing. But one of my buddy, actually Daniel at Forks, I don't know if you know him.
I think I know.
Yeah, I think he's managing the place now. Great guy. But I remember hanging out with him, and his dad was a session musician, and just he had said something, I think it was kind of, I didn't hear his dad say this, but it was kind of handed down of like, if you want to play music in Nashville, you got country music. I was like, that's really cool, but I had like, from the first time I had heard music, I just gravitated to rock and roll. It was like a visceral reaction in my body, like as a kid, just jumping around to my dad's records and him getting pissed off, like, stop, you're gonna break my equipment. And then they had to like find new needles for the record player every month.
My rock and roll equipment.
yeah. But it was like, I just remember thinking, like, I want to play rock and roll. I guess I'm going to have to move to LA or New York or maybe Boston or, like, Seattle. When I first started listening to my own music, it was mainly, like, Seattle 90s, kind of grunge alternative. And then, you go through the Green Day, and then you start backtracking. Like, well, who do they listen to?
Right.
So I went on, like, that whole trip. But yeah, growing up here is just, as a kid, it was kind of boring. But they did have I will say they had some all ages clubs that were pretty cool. Like there's one called Lucy's Record Shop that later turned into Indie Net. That was always like it was on Church Street. It was all like all ages punk rock kind of stuff. And then after that shut down, they had this place. It was in Antioch in a strip mall. It was called The Next Generation. And it is exactly what you think it was. And like I remember like
amazing.
Yeah. The coolest band that played there, like their lead singer was a manager at Hot Topic. So and I was in a band, and I remember like looking back, it was kind of cool that this family like ran this all ages venue out there. But like I remember him saying stuff about you got either to us and other bands like you guys are gonna be the next. You're the hope. You're the biggest. Gonna be the biggest band. It's like we're fucking 15, 16-year-olds. Like half of these guys don't even play music anymore. But it was a great time as a kid, and like you went and saw a lot of what looking back, it's just like my poor parents having to like. At that point, I think I was driving or I'd ride with friends to go there. But every now and then, like if I had a show there, my parents would come to support. I can only imagine what they thought of that place. What is going
there?
on? Like all these little kids are like moshing into each other, and then you got. It's also right when Jackass came out, so I remember it was right around the street from this Kroger. So I remember we'd all go and steal shopping carts and like do Jackass stunts. Like, yeah. Every now and then I remember that place, and I'm like, what was that? What went on?
Like a punk rock Chuck E. Cheese.
It was a punk rock Chuck E. Cheese. The every now and then I drive by it, and it's not called the next. For a while, it's called a Bisa, and it looked like a nightclub or something. But yeah, it's in like a. You pass it. It's kind of by the Kroger. It's on like Bell Road or Old Hickory. I think it's still Old Hickory, and I think Nolensville. And it's like this. It's like an L-shaped strip mall, and it's in the corner of that L by the Kroger. I think there's a Sherwin-Williams, or there was. But I don't know what it is now. And, I mean, shoot, at this point they should have demolished the whole thing.
Right. Such a bunch of liabilities running around.
Yeah.
Antioch!
Yeah.
Letting it fly in Antioch.
Yeah.
Down the street from Kia Carnival.
Exactly. But yeah, it's just like... Nashville was, it was weird. Like, you didn't really... But, like, even that was like, okay, well, from where we lived, everything was 15 minutes away. So it's, like, not that far of a drive. It didn't still seem like you were in the same spot.
What, do you remember the first music, what it was that, like, you said rock and roll, what rock, do you know, like, what band it was?
I can remember some distinctive ones of, like, I remember my dad's had the Stray Cats record, which I really loved. I remember seeing Back to the Future and thinking that's awesome. And I can remember being in a Waffle House with my dad and Elvis coming on and me getting upset that I couldn't, like, smash everything and dance. So...
How old were you then?
I don't know. I was... maybe first grade or younger, kind of that.
Wow.
But yeah, I was, as a kid, like I had to have been like, so I started playing violin when I was 3, because I remember always telling them like, I want to play electric guitar. So I had to be around there at some point that I heard some of this stuff. And my dad was basically like, no, we're going to buy you a violin, and if you do this well enough or long enough, I don't know what he said, we'll eventually buy you a guitar. So, at 3 years old, you don't really
have a choice.
You're like, like, okay, whatever. I don't know what a violin is.
Sign here.
Yeah. So I started doing that, and I do remember my instructor. I got taught drum lessons for a bit here and there. I still kind of will. I haven't really done it for a while, but when I did, I kind of got this from him. Like, always ask like the student what they want to like play and learn. And like, like if you're learning a drummer and you're learning rudiments, like what guy wants to sign up to learn rudiments? So like when I hear like I remember having a drum teacher and be like, I like Nirvana and Green Day. He's like, no. And being kind of bummed, but this guy asked me that. I was like, I want to know Born in the USA by Bruce Springsteen and the Ghostbusters theme song. And so
That's what you said?
yeah, this is the 80s. So he did teach me the melodies on violin. Like, I do remember, like, kind of being able to play it and be like, why doesn't it sound like it does on the album? Like, I must suck. But then I played violin for like 9 years till I was 12. I don't, like, you'd think in 9 years, like, I could play it. I pick it up and it sounds like garbage. So I don't know how far I really got. I feel like there's a lot of time. I also remember not enjoying it and our parents eventually allowing us to quit because my brother and I would just complain every time. Anyways, the violin lessons were just so stuffy. It's like you go to some older lady's house.
Right.
And do that. And then you go to the group lesson at like a church. And then at some point they put me in orchestra. I can remember like it being too fast because there's this giant group of like little kids. I don't know how the teacher thought. Like, she was basically a glorified babysitter, I think. Because I remember like not just playing and being like, yes, I understand this, and not. But about that time, I inherited a drum set from my grandfather who had passed, and I was like, I think I was 11 or 12, and I also got an acoustic guitar. And at that point, I was like, I'm done with violin. I can play these, and that's what I always wanted. So,
Nice.
yeah.
So you grew up in the 80s?
Well, I was born in 83, so...
Okay. Nice.
80s and 90s.
Nice.
I'm like right in that sort of. I remember growing up and people being like, "Oh yeah, you're part of the Generation X," and now they say I'm a millennial. So I'm in that weird in between millennial Gen X
Right.
thing where it's like I remember very vividly not having internet and not that being a big part of my life.
Right. I just memorized my friend's number.
Oh yeah.
Pocketfuls of quarters
Yeah.
to be able to call people out in the world.
Payphones.
Yeah.
And I knew everyone's number.
Right.
But that's all gone.
That is gone.
So you have a brother?
I do. He's 3 years younger than I am.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, he lives up in Brooklyn. Plays drums as well.
Oh, sick.
He plays guitar. He's kind of a he's definitely, it's funny, like I kind of say this because it's true, but it also kind of describes I feel like our dynamic is like when we played football, I was the defensive end and he was the quarterback. I'm just kind of like, I'll go out and do it, and he's definitely more precise and technical. But yeah, he plays drums in like punk kind of street hard band called CT Hustle and the Muscle. They're great. But then he also he writes his own stuff on all kinds of instruments, and it's called the Sunshine Movers.
Oh, wow. And
so, yeah, he's pretty active in that. But we grew up. We kind of tried to play music together, but we always got along, but it was like we'd play music and then get in a fight. And it's like we got along, but yeah, we definitely get in fights about shit. And,
right.
Wrestle. And,
wrestle each other, yeah.
Yeah, break the couch. I remember that happened. But, we always got along. He's a great brother. When we play up in New York, it's always great to see him and hang out with him.
Do y'all look alike? What?
I've never thought so, but as we've gotten older, I definitely...
In the face region.
Yeah, you can see it.
What's his name?
Walton.
Walt?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And he plays music for work up there?
No, he actually works for a photography studio.
Okay.
And all of his bandmates have, other day jobs.
Right.
Yeah, he's always kind of been in that world,
Nice.
with art and photography, and yeah, it's kind of bounced around myself, but eventually came back to what I really wanted to do.
Where did you go to high school here?
Father Ryan.
Oh, okay.
The private
Catholic
school.
I went to Macaulay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We played y'all in sports.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or I guess Brentwood was more of a rival than Father Ryan, but
probably. At least when I was there, like, I don't know. We had a horrible football team. I didn't play football.
Oh, really?
Thankfully, because otherwise I'd have to claim that. But
what sports did you play?
I played rugby. Growing up, I played like all of them, like basketball, baseball, soccer, football, and swimming. And then once I hit high school, like I had knee surgery going into high school.
Wow.
It was either from skateboard. I'm pretty sure it was from skateboarding and football. And I remember my mom didn't tell me, but she signed me up for the band. And I was like, I don't know. At the point in time, I was like, I don't know that I want to play football, but I think I do want to wrestle. And I knew that our high school had a good wrestling team and they had a good like indoor drum line. I was like, I'd like to do one or both of those. And so when she signed me up for the marching band, I was kind of bummed. But I didn't realize that if you want to do the indoor drum line, you should, because the indoor drum line was like the spring semester and marching bands the fall.
Right.
So if you want to do indoor drum line, you're going to be better equipped to do that if you also do marching band, because it's kind of the same people. So if you actually want to play a drum and not like play the cymbals or be in the pit playing xylophone, which there's nothing wrong with that, but I wanted to play a drum.
Right.
Got to do marching band. So I did that in high school, and then we got a rugby team, and I could do all that because I couldn't wrestle and be in the drum line. Once I did the drum line, I was like, I really like this. This is awesome. It's like I'm learning real technical drumming, and it's really helping me because I was already playing drum set. I could see how it's helping me on the drum set. And I was starting to play around in high school bands and such, and it was that I've got a whole lot of knowledge drumming wise from playing in high school drumline.
Right.
And a lot of my friends either went on to college to study music and drums, and then they did like drum corps stuff, all that. And I was like, I knew I couldn't wrestle, so rugby was like really great. And then, I went to college. I didn't really know what I wanted to do in college, which I would feel like.
Where'd you go to college?
UT, Knoxville.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. And I started out in engineering, and that didn't really work out. But I was playing rugby up there, and I loved it. It was great. And I feel like that was like those, I was in Knoxville 6.5 years or something. And like those 6 years, I probably played the least amount of drums, but I really focused on like a guitar. And I feel like in high school, I was so into just like, what is like the best, how can you be the best drummer? And like Mathew's talking about competition, and we were competing in drumline, so right. I was very competitive. And at some point, I do remember like after being done with that, I'm like, I'm so sick of being competitive with like drums. And I'm like, even the guys that like I think you could say are the best drummers, other than Buddy Rich, I don't really like listening to.
Yeah, and I don't know if they really enjoy it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they do in some weird analytical way, but like, it's like playing the classical music when it's always has to be so precise and you can't mess it up and you have to put what's on the paper. It's almost like you have to forfeit yourself in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I didn't really see. I remember going to like drum set clinics and be like, this guy's awesome, and like being very impressed, but just also being like bored. Be like, I don't want to do that and like talk about how you can play a paradiddle a million ways on a drum kit. I mean, it is cool, and it's great knowledge. Everyone should figure it out.
Definitely,
but I'd rather apply that in a musical way.
Right. You don't want to be seen as some educator up there. Now listen, if you play like this, you'll impress your friends.
Yeah.
Like,
and there's like at the same time, like I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No.
I still kind of watch videos of people that you would probably classify that way to be like, I'll get ideas from that.
definitely, yeah.
But yeah, I think kind of stepping back and like I was in high school, I was into kind of more the harder music and heavier just stuff. But then I was also doing like jazz bands. So I was like forcing myself to listen to jazz and funk. Because I'm like, yeah, if I want to be a good drummer, I should be able to do this. I feel like in college, I really actually started listening to like the jazz and funk that I liked. And listening to rock and roll again. And listening to country music and blues. And like getting into like, oh, this is so simple but so perfect. Like hearing like even Meg White, I remember because the White Stripes were going. I was like,
yeah.
She's amazing, and she just fucking bashes the cymbal and plays 4 on the floor.
Yeah.
And it's great. And then you kind of go back and you're like, yeah, you rediscover why people like Bonham are awesome because it's so simple and it's a groove. So I feel like stepping away from the drums and kind of getting more into music. And those periods really helped me like reel it back in and be like, all right, you weren't having fun.
Trying to compete and trying to be
Yeah.
the best.
Yeah.
And this was post-college? Like,
This is during college.
during-
And it's funny because I remember in college, so growing up I always played my grandfather's old drum kit and still have it. It's all refurbished and I love it. But like at the time, in high school, I'm listening to heavy metal, and I'm like trying to fuck with it and be like, I want it to put on this head, and can I put it in a rack so it sounds like a... And like all the guys at Forks are like, nah, you just need to play it. Like these aren't those kinds of drums. So once I figured that out, I'm like, the first thing that I buy when I get out of school is going to be a drum set, so that I can play that drum set and then refurbish my grandfather's and have this amazing, cool old set. And we've done recordings with it, and I still will play it. It's been at my mom's for a while just because it's safe there. But I love playing it. It's awesome.
What kind is it?
It's got a Radio King Slingerland, snare and floor tom, old Rogers Holiday bass drum, and 2 Gretsch round badge rack toms.
Wow.
Yeah. It sounds great. I love it. And I've actually bought some drums too. Like I bought a lot of old drums, and I like old drums. I like some of the new ones too. But yeah, it's I got a new kit and refurbished it, and that was post college. So at that point, once I had this new drum kit, I had worked a little while in the professional world for Billboard advertising agency, and it just wasn't for me. Like, I was in Knoxville, and I thought I was gonna like hike the Appalachian Trail, or like, I don't know. I was just like, I just want to travel. I don't know what the hell I want to do. So my dad was like, you should come back to Nashville and work for me. You can save a little money, and then you can go hike the trail. And so I did that, and I remember because I got done with college. I played rugby all 5 years there. I played rugby in high school, and then I started playing for the Knoxville men's team. I was like, when I move back to Nashville, I'm not going to play rugby. I'm going to figure out what I want to do. And sure enough, I was like, got sucked back in, started playing rugby because I love it. It's a great sport. And we started going out to the bars. And like, this was like 2008, so Lower Broad was kind of like this weird... It was popular, but it was kind of...
Touristy,
It was touristy, but also some nights it was like just a ghost town. Like, we'd go there, because I actually lived with 2 rugby guys downtown. And, like, we paid less than $500 each for this townhouse, like, in downtown.
In downtown.
It was great. It was this crazy time of, like, Nashville had already felt like it was kind of becoming an it city, which, like, you're excited, like, oh, Nashville's cool, there's things to do. Also, you're old enough to go in bars at this point. And just, yeah, going downtown and seeing these guys and being like, well, I can do that. And that's what I want to do. And I want to travel. So it's like, I'm going to play music. I started playing with a bunch of people, kind of around town and just whoever I could find, and I couldn't find anyone that just wanted to like, let's fucking go for it. Like, I don't want to be working this day job. I want to play music. Until I found Mathew on the Craigslist. So.
Wow. So you were what, like 27 then, 28?
26, I think, was when we met. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, which is a little later than I wanted to be, but you know, the timing was right.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Man, that was great. You covered a lot of territory there.
Yeah, I'll ramble.
It's good. It's great because I was like, all right, great. Yes. So just I guess recapping here, like what were you into like as a kid? You were playing outside a lot, playing
Yeah.
like building tree houses and stuff, or
I tried to build a tree house with my dad, and the 2x6 fell on my head, and I had to get like 8 staples in it. So we didn't finish the tree house, but it looked like a deer stand that I would just go up to in the ladder. I'm like, yeah, we do that. Like, go around, ride bikes, and eventually, like, my brother and I, like, we'd play sports and get frustrated and beat each other up and then be cool. And then we started playing music. Yeah. It's just kind of, like, kid life is...
kid life, yeah.
Yeah. Scrape your knee and,
Right.
like, come inside it.
Take risks.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, it was so weird, too, because, like, I have a dog now, and I wouldn't think about, like, just letting her, like outside and be like, all right, see you at, like, dinner time. But we just let our dog out, and, like, then you call him for, like, 10 minutes, and he comes.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Where did they go?
That's true, yeah.
Why doesn't that happen anymore? Like...
That is true. That's how it was in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Call him the
I'd
dog.
be walking home from school or whatever, and Petzl was our dog, and she would be running. She would run up. We lived on the middle of the street, and she would meet us at the top of the street. We'd be like, Petzl, and then she would like,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't see that anymore.
Yeah, and it's like...
Probably because too many people have gotten sued.
I do think that's...
Dog bit me!
Yeah. I remember, like, yeah, I don't think I ever got bit by dogs as a kid, but my brother did.
I got attacked by a dog, dude, when I was a kid.
My brother was, like, he was a mean kid. Like, we all joke about how mean he was as a kid. Like, there's a picture of us, and it's our cousin's birthday party, and we're, like, like, maybe first grade or younger. We're all sitting around the cake and smiling, and he's looking at our cousin just like he looks pissed that it's not his birthday. But I remember him, like, we had a cat growing up, and he'd, like, carry her around by, like, this awful way, like, by her neck, and I'd be like, put her down, and he'd, like, throw her.
Oh, man.
He just didn't know, like, he's a little kid.
Yeah.
But I remember, he'd hit our dog, and then looking out one day, my mom freaked out, because he had, like, this big red jacket, and he's, like, hitting our dog, and our dog lost it. And my brother's pinned on the ground doing this, and this jacket, and the dog's, like, trying to eat his face off.
Oh my god!
Just pissed off at him, and he just got bit a couple times. The neighbors, I think in the face. The neighbor's dog bit him a few times. I feel like that taught him. He's a really nice. Like, you would never expect this from him anymore. But yeah, as a kid, he was in terror.
He don't hit dogs anymore.
yeah. Learned his lesson.
Now I understand why it's called DeeOhGee.
It all makes sense.
Yeah.
Full circle.
That's awesome. Well, that's hilarious. Yeah, one time I got like aggressively bit by a dog, and then my brother like fought the dog off, and then it was like my friend's dog, and then like I found out like the next day or so the parents were gonna have the dog put down. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, he hasn't been acting right.
Oh.
Wow.
So I've just figured that probably happened a lot.
Well, it's better than getting sued.
Definitely.
True that.
Yeah.
Definitely. I had a dog that bit someone, and we had to get rid of it because they were like, if you don't get rid of it, we're going to sue you. I was like, I didn't understand. I was only 10 years old. I was like, no, please don't get rid of the dog.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, it was really tough. But, yeah, she would like, she kind of enticed him because she would carry a stick walking down the street. I'm like, well, yeah, you're gonna scare him, but
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just sad.
I remember one time riding in the car with my dad and asking him where our cat was because I hadn't seen it. And it occurred to me that I haven't seen the cat in like at least weeks. It might have been months. And it was like
Took a while for you.
Yeah, I don't.
Didn't we have a cat?
Yeah. Looking back, it was way longer than it should have been. That I noticed our cat was gone. But he's like, yeah, we had to put it down, and he rescued this cat from outside his office building, and it was like crazy, but like I love the cat, but it gave my dad cat scratch fever, which is a real thing.
Wow. Really?
And like the doctors couldn't figure out what it was, and like at one point like all his lymph nodes were swollen, he was super lethargic, and my mom was like, I thought he had cancer at one point. Until they asked him if he recently had gotten a cat.
You had cancer or have you
Cat
had a
scratch.
cat recently?
Yeah.
Cat scratch fever. I know the song, but
Yeah,
I've
right?
never heard of a real case.
Yeah.
I didn't even think it was. I thought that was all
That's
fake.
what a lot of people didn't. They were like, I thought it was just a song by the Nuge. Yeah, that was.
Cat scratch fever. Wow, that's crazy.
Pets are fun.
No joke. It's
Yeah.
no joke. Great song.
Well, man, so you've seen many different turnovers in the whole Nashville scene and everything.
Yeah.
Childhood to high school to now.
Yeah, that's a crazy part too. I'm sure it was before I was even alive. Is that all these, like Mathew said, all these pockets. Like it was a few years ago that I discovered Down Boy for the first time, and we played a few shows with them. And I remember asking them because they were talking about they said something about it sounded like they lived here for a while. Like, yeah, we went to Belmont. We've been here, a band. I'm like, how am I just now finding out about you guys? And it always amazes me, and just completely different scenes too.
Yeah, little pockets.
Yeah.
Like Dark Matter is a whole
Yeah.
thing.
I was gonna say you show up to Dark Matter or The End, or any of these random ass venues or whatever. It astounds me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you go to 5 Spot and it has its own little built-in crowd.
Yeah.
Same with the Cobra. Always has a crowd there.
Yeah.
And each one of these there's probably some band that everyone has in common that they like. I don't
Yeah.
know.
It's true. That's true.
Like The End, I always feel like hardcore shows or I don't know, it's always the shows that I hear about. I'm like, and then they're like, yeah, it's sold out. I'm like, man,
Right.
it's The End. I'm like,
Or I, in addition to construction, I bartend at Marathon Music Works.
yeah,
And how many sold out shows of acts that I've never heard of? It amazes me. Who are all these people? And who's this band? Or who's this DJ? What is this act? What's going on? It's wild.
Everybody else heard about it.
Yeah.
and I bet you see all types of crowds.
Yeah. It is, there's all kinds of shows there.
Yeah, do you work at the bar where you can see the stage?
Usually there's one bar that I'm actually working there tomorrow night where you can't see the stage. It's right when you walk in.
Oh yeah.
But other than that, I'm usually at one of the bars and you can see everything.
What's been your favorite show that's while you've been working?
While I was working, is either Electric Wizard or Ace Frehley.
Oh wow.
There's not a lot of, they don't have a lot of rock and roll acts. I will say Her was really good. She amazed me. I didn't know anything about her. But she's plays guitar, sings, and it's funky soul, almost Prince-ish.
Wow.
But it was really good. That one was a great one. But yeah, usually if there is a show that I want to go see, then I try to get off.
What's been your favorite show that you've seen there?
I think Mastodon.
Oh wow!
A few years ago, it's Mastodon and Gojira.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Wow. I saw Animals as Leaders there once. That was.
I may have been bartending that show.
Yeah.
Because I saw that.
Yeah, this was like a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I think I was at the bartending that show.
That was pure assault.
Yeah, yeah. It's craziness.
Yeah. Awesome. So, all right, cool. Is there anything else you'd like to add I might not have asked you? Oh yeah, I remember what I was going to ask you. Who would you say your top 3 rock influences are? I guess mainly for drums or just like.
If it's gonna be rock and roll, then I'd have to say Bonham, Charlie Watts, and Dave Grohl.
Okay. And then if it's not rock?
Art Blakey. I don't know, I guess Danny Carey's a huge influence for me.
Oh yeah, me too. Dude.
Which was like, he was like the gateway drug to a lot of people.
Oh yeah, Bill Bruford.
Yeah.
Billy Cobham.
Billy Cobham, exactly. When I first heard Spectrum by Billy Cobham, I didn't think that was real. I was like, no one can play drums like this. This is like programmed. And then I researched Billy Cobham, and I was like, oh,
God.
Oh my God. And it's like, it's cool too. It's not just like a
Be
clinician.
impressive to be impressive.
Yeah.
You're not like Thomas Langing everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I also like Zigaboo from the Meters.
Oh yeah.
All the James Brown and Funkadelic drummers like Clyde Stubblefield, Jabbo Starks. Bernard Purdie was a great one. Levon Helm. And like, to me, the classic rock and roll, like Ginger Baker, Ringo is awesome. He gets a lot of hate, but he's awesome. Keith Moon. Love Keith Moon.
I've got Moon's biography on my shelf. I need to read it. I heard.
I've been wanting to read that.
It's a great book.
Yeah.
Page Turner, because he's just so chaotic.
Yeah.